Jones and Elite. Here we go, boys.
Here we go. If you look at Rositajonez' transmog, it is pretty fabulous. I mean, that's the first thing I noticed when I got in this game. And as this tournament goes on, we're going to notice Rosita actually switching up his transmog. He's invested heavily in that. Okay, so now onto the game. Okay, so Yoncee taking a little bit of damage right now. Looks like Rosita and Khryl are going to open up on him, trying to wither him down a little bit. And they haven't got any CC out on 13 yet, but now that he's at 50%, they're going for the deep sheep. Gets interrupted, though, by Lumin, but it doesn't matter. The Hodge comes out, silence. Yoncee just going to trinket that. He still has a Shaman wall available. He might have to use it, though. 13 just getting caught into sheep by Rositajonez. The full fear comes out. And now Wings coming out from 13, caught into the Frost Shot. The CC's just never ending onto him, but now finally he's out of CC. He's going to be able to top off Yoncee. And Yoncee actually got to save his Shaman wall there, which is a pretty good opener for them.
Yeah, he popped Ascendance and Ancestral Guidance with the Spirit Wolves. It gives him a lot of healing that you don't expect, and he was trying to save those cooldowns and spread them out. So obviously on the next row, like this Hodge, he's going to Shamanistic Rage immediately. That's the cooldown management that they're choosing to go down 13. Unfortunately, he got the Horrified Dispel there, and he's going to pop the Aura Mastery, so he doesn't have to deal with the Counterspell. The Counterspell wasn't up, so maybe a bit of a waste of Aura Mastery there by 13. Nice caught into the Polymorph. Yoncee running out of cooldowns. This is where he's got to make the move to play defensive. He's trying to build up some Maelstrom proc so he can get an instant healing surge, but he's getting chunked. Full Fear lands. He trinketed the Fear into a Silence. Horrifying to Yoncee could just be the end for him. Devouring Plague comes up. Ice Nova connects. Puts the grounding down. Sacrifice comes up. 13 goes for the heal, but he gets deep frozen. Hodge onto Yoncee at 40%. 13 bubbles in desperation to keep him alive, and they're still crushing him. He's in double death range. He's just going to die. Rosita and Khryl just owning Yoncee there towards the end of the game.
They were just killing him through bubble heals. He bubbled and was healing, and he died. I just, what? Okay. Alright.
Yeah, holy crow. Definitely a convincing first win for our Mage's transmog. Is fabulous. The full Hodge there on Yoncee, and 13, he's got the bubble, he's spamming the flashes, but it's just not enough to keep his enhancement shaman up through this God Comp's damage. And there it is. There
and
it
just
is.
looking at that game, if we look at time and CC, like, no one's even CC'd that much. So Khryl was CC'd for 10 seconds, Rosita CC'd for 2 seconds, Elite for 6. But the interesting thing is Thirteenqt was only CC'd for 18 seconds that game,
So,
which isn't very long.
Can you just... Elite is asking if he out-damaged the Shaman that game.
Oh, I left.
Elite, yeah, he did
I think
364,000 damage. Yoncee did 563, so very close.
Almost.
Almost.
Oh my god, dude. Elite just owning it. That's where the secret damage came from.
He did a third of Rositajonez' damage, a little more than a third.
I can see
And
now why...
his highest hitting ability was Holy Shock for 22,000.
Holy Shock's no joke, man, but it's hard to justify not using your Holy Shock for healing. But it hits hard. But apparently he could justify it because they could not heal through that with bubble up. So
yeah, it's one of those things that kind of like all-inning them, but usually mages like in a matchup like this don't have to even go through one block for quite some time. So if he does fall behind, then they can just trade that block. So they're really aware of how much damage they can take, and they can go offensive like that.
I don't see this Godcom losing until like 20% dampening minimum.
Yeah.
Like they can lose, but they're gonna have to grind through that team for at least like 7-8 minutes.
I still feel like the Turbo played that right. Like the cooldowns were never really overlapped. He spaced them out pretty well, and I guess it was just Elite's damage, man. The Shockaden power.
All right.
It's been a few seasons since Shockadens were there. I don't know the last time that they were this good.
I think the last time Shockadens were this good was like BC, man. Oh, maybe not. Maybe in Wrath they were pretty good there briefly. But yeah, in Burning Crusade, Shockadens were a real thing. Back when there wasn't like just one specialization, you could go in you can dabble in the trees a little bit. But yeah. So this is Dalaran Sewers chosen by this Turbo, trying to kind of close up that gap between them and this Mage. I'm not sure if it's going to help them all that much, but we're going to find out here in just a minute. This is a best-of-3 series, so if that Turbo Warrior lose another round against this Holy Paladin God Comp, they will be sent down to the lower bracket.
It's not looking good for them. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
It's not looking... Khryl and Rosita just going to charge in once again, try to get out some early damage onto Yoncee. The Deep Freeze coming out onto 13. Immediately, AC Veins, being popped by Rositajonez. Yoncee taking not really too much damage. He's just going to run behind the pillar at the moment. Recklessness coming out. Luminiere. Khryl taking a lot of damage, gets chunked down. That was actually saved by the light that proc on him, Elite popping his wings. This is a much better opener for this Turbo Cleave this game. And the Godcon was actually on the back foot at the moment, but now 13Qt into a full fear. Yoncee going to be taking a lot of damage. The full silence coming out onto 13, choosing not to use Aura Mastery. The Hodge coming out onto Yoncee right now. He still has Trinket and his Shamal available. He's just going to save that, be able to heal himself off, and both teams are sort of stabilized at this point.
Yeah, and he managed to escape without trinketing, without Sham raging, as well as 13. He throws a Hex on a Rosita. He had to trinket that. Taking advantage of the fact that they don't have a D-Curse is really important for Yoncee here, and he's playing really well. He didn't macro Ancestral Guidance into Ascendance. He's going to pop it now with his Shamanistic Rage as 13 goes into the Poly to get some extra healing. He should be able to tank the damage with a nice Shockwave out from Luminiere to peel Kryl's damage. 13 still into the Frost Jaw, but Yoncee's in a good position to build up procs in line of sight. Now the full Fear lands, however, and Yoncee's hodged up. Shamanistic Rage going to be fading. Denounce is coming in, but a triple Fear. Khryl dipping low. He's got to be careful to manage that dispersion. Luminiere accidentally falling off. I think Khryl juked him off the side there. He's going to heroic leap back up, reconnect. Elite gets hodged by 13. It's unfortunately going to be DR'd from the Shockwave. And now Yoncee caught into the Horrify, choosing not to trinket. 13's going to trinket out of that Poly. You got the Master Fleck as well. Pop the Avenging Rat to top off Yoncee, keeping them offensive. And the Turbo's putting out a lot more pressure than would be expected.
Yeah, Elite actually just got shocked there too, and Rositajonez has used one of his blocks defensive, so if they can force his second block, he'll have none available for quite some time. Elite's entire team rotted down to around 60% HP. Yoncee taking a little bit of damage, but 13 still has that wings, able to easily top him off, but he's still getting bursted down quite hard, hovering around 75% HP. The full Hodge Deep Freeze comes out onto 13. Yoncee immediately going to trinket that and get to the safety of the pillar, throw some heals on himself, and they have so much pressure at the moment. Rosita's down to 34% HP, Khryl to 40% HP. Elite finally gets that Avenging Wrath up, trying to get out those heals to top off his team, but for some reason they just can't stabilize.
Yeah, Rosita's still at 44%, but now they're swapping to Luminiere. He's got to be careful. 30% HP. Saved by the Light's going to proc 13 into Fear Silence on Yoncee. He can't get the Tremor. Now he's into the Poly to cover that as well. He uses the Die by the Sword to try and tank out some of this damage right now as he's putting the pressure onto Khryl, but he's the one who's in trouble. Into double death range. He throws up the Master Fleck to try and eat it. 13 coming out of the CC, though, gets the execution sentence off, bringing him back up to 60%. Luminiere pushing back towards the box here, maybe looking for a triple Shockwave here as the Hex gets thrown out under Rosita. Luminiere going for the Blade Storm, putting the pressure onto Khryl. Elite spamming out the heals, though, uninterrupted. He should be able to heal through it. The Fear thrown under the DPS to try and get them out of there. They're kind of just standing on top of 13 and abusing him. The full Fear lands. Yoncee caught into it as well. He can't Tremor. Luminiere's going to trinket. He doesn't have a lot of defensive cooldowns remaining. He's actually got nothing left in the tank. 13 bubbles, but that's not enough. Execution sends 9%, 30%, 13. Desperation mode, keeping Luminiere alive there. And I actually think maybe he was in battle stance that whole time.
Not ideal there, but he still somehow managed to survive. Maybe he knows something we don't. Khryl taking a little bit of damage right now. 13Qt into that full Deep Freeze. Healing Stream is down by Yoncee, going to prevent a little bit of damage and provide a little bit of healing. Yoncee getting silence there. 13, if we look at his cooldowns, he still has Trinket available for himself. No Aura Mastery, no Wings. Elite having to pop that Wings, trying to keep Rositajonez up at the moment. He's taking a little bit of damage, but they're swapping out onto Elite, who needs to get himself up, trying to fake out those interrupts. Yoncee getting caught into the full Hodge, though, taking a lot of damage at the moment. 13 getting followed up with another Sheep. 13 actually having to use Trinket right there. And now 13QT has no Trinket, no bubble available. So Yoncee could be in a lot of trouble very soon.
Yeah, and he's answering that predicted trouble with Shamanistic Rage. I don't believe he has a Tremor available as 13 sitting through that Fear. Luminaire and a Poly, triple CC, 3v1 on Yoncee. He's trying to line of sight in the Ghost Wolf form, throws down the healing stream, but Elite snipes that with a Denounce. They're trying to keep the pressure rolling. Saved by the Light's going to prog. Yoncee actually got locked out there by Elite, so he's not going to be able to off-heal himself. 13 gets hodged up. Rosita's got to follow that up with something, though. He gets shockwaved onto Khryl. He's trying to go for the Poly. He gets locked on the Poly. Deep Freeze onto 13. He's going to be DR'd. He's going to leave the CC. Horrify onto Yoncee, but with no CC onto 13, he's going to be able to heal through the damage. The Turbo's putting out the pressure. The Blade Storm coming out from Luminiere. Kryl's actually going to disperse there. Maybe he's trying to force him off of Rosita, but it definitely maybe a waste to disperse. Rosita at 46%. Elite's going to Trinket. He chooses to block and Cold Snap. They're trying to finish the game here quick. They put 13 into the full Poly. Denounce is coming out from Elite. Full Hodge on a Yoncee. No cooldowns really left. He's going to have to Trinket. Drops the ground and Ghost Wolf around the corner. Double Shockwave. Hodge onto Elite to peel his healing, and Yoncee's going to survive. He's going to have the Sham Rage, and now this is when it's in the Turbo's favor.
Yeah, dampening just kicking in right now, and Khryl, I think, actually used that disperse offensively for the bonus versatility I think it provides, but that could end up biting him. He has no trinket available, down to 40% HP. Disperse still has another minute cooldown, but Elite going to pop that Avenging Wrath, should be able to top off his team. The sack is on Khryl right now. He's going to be taking a little bit of reduced damage, but this Turbo Cleave is stabilized so much, and out comes Recklessness. The triple shockwave coming out from Luminiere. Elite getting chunked down right now by Luminiere and Yoncee, but Luminiere getting swapped to. He has no trinket. All he has is Rallying Cry up. The silence coming out from 13. Yoncee getting hodged. The cross CC beautifully done by
He's in
Rositajonez.
battle.
The full fear coming out. Luminiere throws out that Rallying Cry at the moment. 13 still has no cooldowns available. Caught into that frost shot. Rallying Cry is going to fade. He's going to be around 20% as soon as that fades. If they can connect, catch him in a stun, he could just die. The Ice Double comes out. Double Death's going to come out. He's at 1% HP. Oh my goodness gracious, he might actually survive here. He has his parry up, taking a reduced damage, but nope, down to 1% HP once again, and he will fall. And I feel like in these tournaments, I see 1% HP more than ever.
Yeah, for real. 1% HP every single game, but that Turbo did a great job surviving. I mean, we'll take a quick look at the replay here, where I believe this is the very first time Luminiere nearly died, and 13 Aura Masteries out of that silence. But keep an eye on Luminiere's health here at this setup. There's the fear. Luminiere goes into the horrify. I think a very similar setup that we just saw right then. Peter Pan has something to say as well. The Hodge goes out on the Luminiere right at the end there, and he dips down to literally 1%. And this wasn't even the kill that was previously.